And here we are with episode 2 of IcoPod. I'm Bob Cowling Jr. And alongside me is Austin Skinner. Austin, how you doing?
The incomparable. How are you, Bob? I'm good.
You're just using way too many big words for me.
It's too early.
Right, 6:24 at night. It's too early for me.
Right.
Today, we are looking at the Royal Rumble, the 1993 edition, which took place from Sacramento, California, in the Arco Arena. Attendance is 16,000. The gate is 187,000. And the buy rate for it is 1.25, which is the lowest for a Rumble to this point, but is higher than any Rumble from 1994 to 1998. Does that shock you at all?
Yeah, actually it does. I'm surprised that as the years go on and the company is kind of, from the outside looking in, seems on an upswing. So yeah, I am pretty surprised about that.
I mean, I was surprised till 98. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that means like even 98 is lower than this. Like that's almost the peak or the start of it. So
right.
It's pretty interesting. There is a dark match for the show. And let me tell you, it's probably an instant classic that we missed this one. It's Doink the Clown, who's been getting heavy TV time.
Right. He
defeated Jim Powers in just under 6 minutes. How do you feel about that? Missing that dark match at the Royal Rumble.
Well, you know, I'm pretty surprised that Doink wasn't on the main card in some fashion. Especially with, like you said, how much they've been pushing him on Raw and stuff. So, yeah, that does surprise me a little bit. I'm sure we didn't miss the classic you speak of. But yes, that does surprise me. I'm surprised that even to do silly things during the Rumble maybe for Doink or something.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think he'd be in the Rumble.
Right.
Just because you don't want him to lose. I mean, like lose or something.
Or be on the outside and, taunt people and pull at their legs and do Doink things.
And there could have been a way to set up a feud, but he already has a feud.
Right.
Involving him and Crush, who I guess, I don't know if we should mention it now, but would miss the Royal Rumble because he has a concussion. Mm-hmm. So there really couldn't be any way to advance that. So we got that out of the way. We're going to start the Royal Rumble 93. Austin, go ahead.
Alrighty, right off the bat, I wanted to note the commentary and how good it was to hear Bobby finally on commentary with Gorilla.
I thought it was interesting that he can't get on Raw, but he's on pay-per-view.
Has no problem on the Rumble. Here he is.
No problem.
So yeah, that was good to hear. Gorilla flies through the card as Bobby kind of asks, what about the debut of the Narcissus? Again, he says it that way. Which obviously Gorilla had skipped right over on purpose to kind of get him going. Gorilla says, "Who cares?" And I say, truer words could not have been spoken.
Now, we'll probably, when we get there, I feel like we're going to have differing opinions.
Quite different, okay. I'm sure, yes.
All right.
So we start off right, and it's pretty quick, right from the commentary table to the first entrance of the night. And we have the Beverly Brothers.
I should note their music has been edited.
Okay.
That's not their original music.
Okay.
Because I was like, I got confused for a minute. I was like, what happened? And I was like, there's no way. There had to have been a music edit there.
Okay, yeah, see, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
I would have no idea. But yes, to my recollection, I have no memory of these guys. They seem rather generic for me.
Well, at this point, they're definitely on the way out. Okay. In 92, they had a fairly memorable feud with the Legion of Doom. The whole premise of that was that they call them the LOS. You have any idea what LOS would have stood for?
Logs of shit?
Maybe that would have been better. No, they were calling them the Legion of Sissies.
Wow.
Yes.
I liked mine better.
Yeah. No, that's money.
Right.
On your end there. They would have a feud throughout the summer, and pretty much every single time LOD would just destroy them. I was entertained by the feud, personally, TV-wise, but match-wise, it sucked.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of them right off the bat.
Okay.
Going into the match, the Steiners got, of course, a very good pop coming through the curtain. The hard cam even had like a slight shake in it. That's how much the crowd was reacting, I noticed, which is awesome. Like, good for the Steiners at this time. I feel like Big Scotty forgot to tan his legs, though, as I'm looking. His upper body seems pretty well tanned, and then, like, his lower body is whiter than a ghost.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, that kind of bummed me out. But Bobby's on commentary. He's talking about he wishes he would have been able to grab some extra tickets to scab them outside.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing that line.
And I'm thinking, and now he's fought his way to get back into the building, but he'd rather be outside scabbing tickets to make extra
It's
money.
not Monday Night Raw.
I know, but I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, he says he's going to sell them for 50 times more than what he paid for them.
Yeah, like I think Monsoon was even maybe even more.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty ridiculous. But nonetheless, we have... it was kind of a mixed bag for me. Scott controlled the first half of the match, pulling out good power moves to the excitement of the crowd. The Beverly Brothers tried to power around Ricky, to which the crowd booed, which I thought was funny. So you have the Steiners doing power moves, and they're like, yeah. And then like when they do, when you do it, it sucks.
Right.
So
that's typical wrestling.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So that was good. I really loved when Scotty's throwing, his belly to belly, even Gorilla goes, boy, I'm glad I retired when Scott's throwing the belly to bellies and stuff. So, but to the Beverly's credit, I think they were doing a good job putting the Steiners over as well as the commentary team. So there was that.
There was one point though where Rick Steiner absolutely drops one of the Beverlys on their head with released German.
Yeah.
Which made me cringe a little bit. It was on Blake, by the way. I believe that's Mike Enos. I'm pretty sure Blake is Mike Enos, who's to me is the better one. The finish here is Scott counters the Doomsday Device, finishing off Blake with the Frankensteiner. Standing Frankensteiner, I should say.
Yeah.
Which looked very crisp, looked pretty good.
Absolutely.
I wanted to point out that, you know who the referee was for this match? I don't know if you noticed it or anything. Well,
I've noticed at the time that, what's his name? The referee from ECW is reffing a lot.
Yeah, it's Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, Bill Alfonso.
The guy with the annoying whistle.
Yeah, the whistle guy.
Yeah.
So I've noticed him a lot. He's even at, spoiler alert, WrestleMania 9. I always remember seeing him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think he's there till like the summer or something like that. He's there pretty late.
Yeah, so I have noticed him in and out. I didn't know actually he was the ref for this one, so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid opening match. The crowd was into it. It mostly came across as an exhibition for the Steiner brothers.
Yes.
And, not really making the Beverlys into any kind of real competition.
Right.
But no, I thought it was a pretty solid way to start the show. And for me, it flew by.
Yeah.
Constant action, the suplex and stuff like that. That's the type of wrestling I like to see.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, I think it opened up the show pretty good. I had to notice that at one point, Bobby calls Rick Steiner a known coward. Rick Steiner.
Right.
Coming from Bobby Heenan.
The ultimate coward.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say as a whole, the offensive moves, there was even kind of a good pin exchange towards the end. But yeah, it finishes, like you said, with the double team move from the Steiners. And you could tell that was going to get reversed a mile away, I feel like. So I was kind of bummed with that. But like you said, that awesome standing Frankensteiner that Scotty threw was awesome. So smooth. And to see where he's at here compared to further on in his career.
Even really like 3 years later.
Yeah. It's night and day.
Yeah, if he had stayed, like, physique-wise where he's at right now until maybe his whole career.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been phenomenal.
I agree.
But he just went, obviously, way too far with that stuff. You got anything else for the opener?
That's about it, no.
All right, well, I believe from there we go to a video package.
Yes, we do.
Regarding Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. They hype it up as, they were the great rockers, and then Michaels turns on Jannetty on the barbershop segment there, and then he gets tossed through the window. Which I also noticed, like, Brutus Beefcake, as soon as they, like, embrace, jets out.
Really?
Yeah, he runs out of the segment. So I feel like kind of foreshadowing, like, something was going to happen, like he had to get out of the shot or something. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever really noticed that. From there, Jannetty would be gone for a year. They don't really address it or anything like that. But I think it's mostly like alcohol and drug related that he's gone. And then he returns to surprise Michaels on Superstars at the end of 92. As Michaels was looking in a mirror that Sherry was holding for him, he sees Jannetty, panics. Jannetty brawls with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of it, Jannetty accidentally hits Sherry with the mirror.
Right.
So now the whole premise here is, will Sherry be in Shawn's corner, or will she align herself with Marty Jannetty? We've talked about it before, but what do you think going into it?
Well, right off the bat, I have to say, this is some stuff that I haven't seen, like the mirror thing, how you can see Marty in the mirror behind Shawn and
It's a nice way.
accident. I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah.
So, seeing it for the first time, it made Marty Jannetty look like a badass. Like, he comes in the ring, he's got a Guns N' Roses t-shirt on, like the boots, the whole look, and it's like, okay, this dude's going to get his revenge right here. And then, of course, it turns into the accident with Sherry and everything else. But I thought it did a really good job of going through the feud without dragging on. Like, it showed you what you needed to see leading up to this match. So I thought everything here was done pretty well.
I thought it was funny on commentary, though, in the video. Like, Vince McMahon's like, who's this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
And I don't know who was on, I can't remember who was on commentary with him, but he's like, it might have been Perfect. Somebody. They were just like, I think that's Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
It's like,
Who
and
else
there's
is
no
it?
security. Like,
Nothing.
trying to block him
No,
out,
no,
So
no.
it's just like
Easy.
anybody could walk right in there.
Easily.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
But
that's a good thing to point out. But again, I hadn't seen nothing of this, so I guess now I understand why Sherry is featured so heavily. I still wish more focus was made on the championship, and I don't even think there was any real mention of it in this video package.
No.
So that was kind of the only gripe I had with it. But I think it did its job, and I was ready for this match. I wish they would have held off a little bit and kind of put it off a little bit later. Maybe put our Bam Bam match next or something like that. But it is what it is.
I think positioning, you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
Because from here, you got the Rumble match, the world title, and Boss Man Bigelow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think we're kind of, they're probably put in a tough spot regardless.
Right.
So from that, Sherry Martel comes out. She gets her own entrance, and she's met with mostly boos.
She was looking a little heavy, I thought, at this time. Maybe in the face, or just maybe the dress wasn't as flattering as. But
maybe. I mean, I didn't really know. I know she was showing a lot
of
cleavage.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Gotta go heavy, even in '93.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you want to jump on there and see what we got?
Yeah. Yep. From here we go. Marty makes his entrance. The big cheers, of course. Although his outfit is horrendous.
I did notice that.
It is so bad. It literally looks like a dream catcher.
Yeah.
Like a Native American dream catcher. That's all I can think of.
And he's got the same colors as Michaels.
Yeah, like the black and white.
Yeah, and to me it kind of made me feel like as if Jenny's just holding out hope.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
We're brothers.
Oh, maybe.
Come on.
I can convince him.
I got the same gear.
Oh, God.
Let's do it one more time, brother.
I could see that, though. Yeah, they were. It was like matching, pretty much.
Yeah.
Michaels comes out with a cool gold entrance attire, which looked really good. And he sauntered over to Sherry to speak to her, but Sherry just gave him a wicked dirty look. So we're already setting up stuff here, which was cool. I was pumped for this one and honestly expected it to be the best match on the card.
I did too. I mean, like I mentioned before in episode 1, I mean, they were having house show matches that had a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. They were really good compared to almost everything else on those shows. So I was anticipating balls to the wall. Like these guys are going to go dives and fast pace. And then that didn't really happen. I really think it was they were focusing too much on the Sherry part.
You know what? It was either that or maybe I don't know what it was. It was just like they had never wrestled each other before.
You know, it could have been, I'm almost certain that this was the show in which Jannetty was plastered before going out there. Because, I mean, he wouldn't be back on TV for 4 months. Like, they let him go again.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure he was backstage, like, just in no condition to wrestle. And with that in my mind, like, when I was watching his entrance, I was like, he doesn't seem there.
Yeah, he's kind of mailing it in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like he wasn't like, yeah, man, rockers. He's just like,
yeah,
all right, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the job.
I can see that.
Yeah. So.
Well, going right into it, Marty went right to work on Michaels, even though, again, I hated his attire. It looked like makeshift. I don't know. I just couldn't get over that. But Marty hits a suicide dive on Shawn, pretty much, again, right in the beginning of the match.
Which I was surprised that did not get much of a reaction.
Speaking of which, yeah, because Gorilla and Bobby even continue talking about Sherry. Like, they don't even talk about it.
Right.
It's like nothing happened.
Even from commentary or the crowd.
Yeah.
There's no reaction. And it's not like you're seeing, compared to today, it's not like you're seeing suicide dives every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which I noted. So that's funny that you picked up on that, too. Anyway, going along here, Marty tried to come off the top rope with a punch to Shawn on the floor. Though it looks like something gets mixed up and they both try a move. It's just coming off sloppy.
Clunky.
Already, you know. Brain calls Marty a crybaby as he sells getting rammed into the ring post repeatedly. Like, thanks, Bobby. Thanks for that.
I love his commentary. I can't get over it.
I love it. But Michaels continued to target that shoulder for a good portion of the match. Shawn was, I don't know, sweating his ass off more than normal. I don't know if it was the lights or something. Yeah, Sacramento. But I noticed that. It was like dripping off his nose, and I've never seen Shawn like sweat like that.
I don't know if it's really right at this. I don't think it's at this point, but I know like even later in the year he gets really out of shape.
Oh.
So this could be like the beginning.
The beginning getting into that.
Because he even notes by like August, he's like, I was fucking so bad out of shape.
Yeah.
So like this could be a kind of a foreshadowing that maybe he just doesn't care.
Right.
As much as he should.
Right. On both parts for these guys, I think, at this point. But yeah, I noticed that because I feel like Shawn's always the Mr. Motor, like you're not going to see a crack in his armor. And here he's like sweating, like really dogging it.
Right.
Anyways, you know, Shawn works most of the second part of the match with Marty barely being able to showcase. I feel like the talent we just saw one Raw ago, the natural born smoothness. Like you said, mate, there had to be something going on.
Yeah.
Had to be. So, again, I was kind of bummed out about that. I just wish it would have been maybe even a little bit more even between the two. I feel like Shawn definitely came out looking like the guy. I thought.
I don't think anybody looked good in this.
Comparatively.
I don't know. Like, they didn't come
You're
across
giving it to Marty?
No, I would not give it to Marty.
No
but
way.
like Shawn, it's not a standout performance.
I agree with that.
You know, and it's his first pay-per-view title defense.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving him, he's the IC champion, arguably the next in line for world title. That's usually what it, has been known as.
Right.
And looking at it, it's like, I don't think I'd be wanting to put he's not ready for that.
Right.
They didn't deliver. And a lot of it probably has to go on Marty, because if he wasn't in the proper mindset there.
Right. Speaking of Marty, he was in a submission, and he started slapping the mat to kind of get the crowd going. But it was like, today that would have been a submission, like tap out. He was literally hitting the mat, and the ref didn't call it. So I was like...
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah.
I wish he wouldn't have done it in that way. I was like, what? Don't do that. Don't do it like that.
Maybe they should do like an angle like that.
They
should. Like, oh, no, hey, man, you tap, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no, I was just trying to get the crowd in it.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be good. Sherry, I had to notice this too. I had to note this in my notes. Sherry, I feel like, barely moved around until she went over to Shawn at ringside and slapped him. Way before that, for this match to be built kind of based on her, she didn't do anything.
She didn't. I think this is the tease of it. I mean, they kind of mentioned on commentary
that she's just ringside or whatever. But again,
the slap gets a pretty good pop though.
It does. Yeah,
the fans are like, okay, yeah, we like you now. Yeah,
they loved it. Bobby calls Sherry an ungrateful bimbo, so that was good. And in another confusing moment, Marty leapt off the top rope while Shawn was down, landing on his own 2 feet. And then he waited for Shawn to get up to turn around, and then DDT'd him for a 2 count.
I remember that.
What?
That's awkward, yeah.
Yeah, what? We go from there after a few good false finishes, because they started getting into it a little bit. We got a ref bump, to which Marty got Shawn in a full Nelson and called for Sherry to come in the ring to get her revenge, obviously. But of course, her shoe comes off, her signature weapon of choice. There's got to be 10 pounds of lead in that shoe every time, because that is her go-to.
Have you ever been hit with a shoe? A high heel shoe?
From Sherry Martel?
From anyone?
No.
Because they're not alive to tell you about it.
Right.
Because they're dead.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a miracle that Jannetty's still alive.
Well, yeah. Way to spoil it, Bob.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, Shawn ducks out of the way. She hits Marty, and Shawn picks Marty up and hits the most lack effort super kick of all time, and pins Marty. We get another pull apart brawl as Sherry kind of runs to the back, all sad that Marty gets hit or whatever. I don't know. Like, the brawl was good at the end, but we've seen this already at this point a couple times.
Right.
I just feel like the match, you didn't even have to have anything happen. It didn't progress anything.
No, the whole time it felt like an angle. You're advancing the angle.
Yeah.
So, to me, coming out of this show, I'd be like, okay, this just means we're going to get Michaels Jannetty at Mania. Maybe some kind of stipulation match or something.
Something.
Like Sherry Martel's a referee or something.
Right.
Something stupid.
I would have been okay with that.
Yeah. But instead it's just, let's work like 15 minutes.
Mail it in.
It's average at best.
Yeah.
And I want to note right now that The Observer rated it as 4 stars.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding you.
I am shocked by that.
Comparatively, the Steiners and Beverly's got 3 stars. The opener's way better than this. You're telling me the opener's not better than this?
I'm going to disagree a little bit.
Wow.
The only reason is the delivery of Sherry, I thought, was better than I expected. Like, she was utilized towards the end better than I expected. Bob, give me a chance here. I haven't seen this stuff.
I know, but you're focusing on the angle, not the wrestling.
So one guy almost gets his neck broken in the first match.
That makes it phenomenal wrestling.
Somebody almost dies.
Speaking of your neck thing, though, I want to point out a line Bobby Heenan uses in this. He goes, I'd bring him to the steps and do a pile driver, crack his head open, break both of his shoulders. Real amateur move. I died on that when I heard him say that. He's like, just bring him to the ring steps, pile driver. Got it.
Is Bobby like a serial killer?
He might
or what? He just goes home and just
God
kills
rest his soul.
And,
maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe he's like a really funny guy on camera, but he's at home. He's just like, I fucking hate him. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he really means it too.
Right.
On the commentary. It's not a joke.
No. I'm just really surprised you thought the opener was not as good.
I let my hopes carry me through, I think. Because even as sloppy and as clunky as it was, to be honest with you, I still expected it to be the best match on the card. Moving forward, I mean, what are we going to get with Bret and Razor? Probably nothing special. The Rumble's going to be the Rumble. Don't even get me started on Bam Bam Bigelow. We'll get there.
Yeah, we're almost there already.
We'll get there.
And I know I think we're pretty different on that one too, aren't
Yes.
we? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, average match at best. Jenny's comeback, though, was probably the most entertaining aspect of it.
Yeah.
Michael's work with the shoulder was pretty boring to me, uninteresting.
I agree.
So, yeah, I mean, 4 stars is insane, and I don't think it's the best thing on the show. The focus on the angles, whatever. But it's not, like, you have the hope of it, and, like, I was majorly disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
But, again, I figured with what we were getting for a mixed bag of a card, I thought, well, sad thing is these guys will probably still have the match.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
That's the way I was looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess even at the end of it, like, if not knowing what we know, if you go continue on the show, you're like, okay, well, Bossman Bigelow probably won't deliver anything huge.
Right.
And like Razor's average, but how far can Bret carry him?
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably still thinking, well, this is the best I'm going to get.
Exactly, and
Yeah,
that's
I
where I
get
was at. That's where I was at.
Okay. Well, as you know, backstage, Mean Gene tries to calm down Sherry. Michaels comes over, tries to confront her, but guess who comes over and makes a save? Marty Jannetty.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the pull apart. So clearly the intent here is to continue it. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. They go in a different direction, which we'll get to in a couple episodes here, which I'm sure you're going to love.
Okay.
That's sarcasm, in case you couldn't tell by my voice. I would probably love it as a 5-year-old kid, but from there, what do you got? We got Bossman Bigelow, right?
Yes. Right before, though, we get some more classic Bobby and Gorilla banter. While Bam Bam's making his entrance, the song just keeps going, bam, 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 bam. It's like...
There's more of a tune to it. Bam, bam, ch.
Yeah, but even before the music, it's bam, repeated.
Well, isn't that his music his whole time?
I don't know, but I didn't like it.
I think it is.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like his music?
No.
I like it.
And if you use it in this episode, Bob, there will be no episode 3.
There will be a future episode in which I will use Bam Bam Bigelow's theme music.
So, we start right off. Bossman comes running down to the ring, ready to go. I expect this one to be pretty slow and boring as a cool-down match. I mean, technically, the crowd was probably hyped for Shawn and Marty. So they're trying to probably back that up a little bit.
I think Bossman's still kind of popular.
He is, definitely.
But
definitely.
the point of it is, you're right. That you're trying to be like, hey, let's cool him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we still got 2 major matches to go.
Right. The whole time, too, this is kind of a side thing. I don't know what it is. Maybe the way he's being, like, billed here or booked or whatever. I get a Samoa Joe vibe from Bam Bam Bigelow. Like an athletic, bigger guy where he kind of pulls stuff out that you don't expect him to.
That's fair.
So I thought that was a good comparison. Like a Samoa Joe of these days. You know?
Right. I mean, a lot of things Samoa Joe does, you wouldn't think he's capable of. And the same thing with Bigelow, like he's coming off the top rope, stuff like that.
Right.
I do want to note, though, that I was kind of disappointed by Bigelow's ring attire.
Ugh.
It looked very old, ratty, as if he had just came from a local flea market, rustled, and like I'm at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, his good gear wasn't clean that night.
Exactly.
Or whatever. Well, because it really accentuated his gut. Like where the fire and flames were was like the bright yellow part, and that's right where his gut was. And I was like, oh, that looks so bad.
It looked like gear he had been wearing for like
bad.
10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I did note that as well. That aside, Bossman gets Pearl Harbored to start off the bout, but returned control in his favor rather quickly. At one point, Bossman murdered his back on the ring apron. Like he got thrown over the top.
Oh, yeah.
And he smashed into that, right there on that ledge. And I was like, oh, he's got to be hurt. That had to hurt him. Alas, it didn't. He was good. So, I don't know. Going back to commentary, Gorilla says, Bam Bam isn't that bright of a guy, Brain. To which Bobby says, oh, really? Let me write that down. I'm going to tell him you said that. So, with as much disappointment as going on in the ring, we're still getting classic lines from Bobby and Gorilla. So, thank God for that.
That might be an indication that they don't necessarily care.
Yeah.
They're just like,
oh,
whatever.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell.
I mean, these guys go like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You got to fill the air, like fill the time.
Yeah, well, I have a note right here. We get 2 minutes of laying in a waist hold. I mean, that's what I expected from this bout, but still, come on. This is Bam Bam's, big debut or whatever.
Right. I mean, it's his pay-per-view debut. I kind of took it as like a grooming to be
like the next bigger
main event guy, heel, the next challenger of sorts, or future challenger.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And I got to give credit to where credit's due. His flying headbutt off the top looked really impressive.
Yes.
As it usually does. These, though, are the matches personally that I probably won't enjoy as much as we go through this time period. I'm not a fan of either guy or this match. I felt the crowd was pretty dead for this one. So, all things considered, I was just like, ugh, when's this one done?
Right. I'm right there with you. I feel like the crowd pretty much knew or had a feeling of what this was really going to be. The swan song of sorts for Bossman. I don't believe he makes another pay-per-view appearance for like 5 years because he jets out of town shortly after this. But it's just a cooler match. That's all it is. It's just, let's get Bigelow over. A few awkward spots by Bossman I noticed, like a bulldog he tried doing off the ropes. It's like, you don't do that. So don't try. Like, as he was trying to be like, hey, I'm young. I can do it.
I'll show Shawn and Marty, damn it.
New generation. Like, don't do that, man. Just stick to your, baseball slide, punch to the floor, and sidewalk slam. So, and I agree. It's just not. It's not a pay-per-view match to begin with.
I agree.
It shouldn't have been on pay-per-view.
I agree.
Now, this would be like a great thing for like Raw.
There you go.
You know,
to show Bam Bam off and stuff a little bit, yeah.
And then have these guys in the Rumble.
Sure. Why not?
I mean, if Bigelow gets eliminated, have it just be by someone.
Or have him throw a couple people out before he goes. You know.
Yeah. What do I know?
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from this, we get another kind of relay on what happened a few weeks ago on WWF Mania with Razor attacking Owen. This time with audio. We get audio in this one from the moment. After hitting the funny clothesline that we talked about last time, I love it. Razor goes, "Hey, Rocket, your daddy ever teach you that one, man?" As he's hitting him with, "Your daddy ever teach you that one?"
Wow.
I loved it. I know that was good. It was much better with the audio, put it that way, I thought. We got a pre-taped promo of Razor in the arena from the day before while he's watching a basketball game.
Yep.
He tells Bret to get some sleep and that he'll see him tomorrow, meaning the Rumble. It was basically the same promo he cut for the Rumble report we saw on Raw, so I just didn't get the whole point of that. Maybe he's rich and gets a skybox, and I don't know.
Well, he's got the gold, Chico.
Right. And he says that whole spiel again.
Yeah, I have it written.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact Raw promo with Vince.
Yeah.
He's just repeating it.
Yeah.
So, that was, to me, a little annoying. Make something new out of it. I do want to note, on the Superstars the day prior, Bret Hart had a interview segment, and Ramon appeared on the big screen, taunting him, whatever, and threatened to slap Stu if you ever saw him on the streets. So
In case he saw Stu on the street.
if you ever saw Stu Hart on the street,
80 years old in Calgary.
he's going to slap him.
Yeah. If there ever happens to be that chance.
Right.
The guy from Miami.
Yeah.
Walking around the
I'm
street.
going to slap you right in the face, Stu.
There's a good chance. There's a good chance that could happen.
I wonder if it ever did.
I hope so.
I think Stu would have taken him.
I think Stu would have slapped him back.
Oh, 100%. So from there we got Bret Hart cuts a promo right before going out. And he says that this has gone personal, and Razor Ramon is going to pay for what he's done. Technically, all he's done is beat up Owen.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is just words. I thought it was a better promo than what he did on Raw.
Yes.
A lot more intensity. And probably should have been on TV instead of on a show that has already been paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So you're delivering your best promo on a pay-per-view that people who are watching it have already paid for.
A little late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I did like that it was like a gorilla.
Yeah.
So you see like J.J.
Yeah.
Dillon is like, okay, go ahead, Bret. And he just walks out. Like I thought that was pretty cool to do it back there.
Well, and maybe that kind of helped in Bret's favor because under pressure, kind of like the last-minute promo thing, maybe that helped him.
I'm thinking maybe because he wasn't in front of a live crowd.
I'm sure that played a part
That
in it as
probably helped him out
Yeah.
quite a bit.
well. Yeah. Yes. But I had to note that I thought Razor looked cool as hell in his red gear as he was making his entrance. To me, right here, he does look like a star. He's got the gear. He's got the entrance.
Right.
He's fighting for the title. So I can see where they're going with this. Personally and promo-wise and that kind of stuff, is Scott Hall ready? Probably not. But look-wise, he's got it.
I even noted that he had a better heel reaction than I anticipated from the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the angle doesn't have much heat behind it.
Right.
But when he comes out, they're really kind of giving him some good heel heat. And I really think it's kind of piggybacking still off of the Savage thing that they had in '92, and he cost Savage the belt, they feuded, whatever. So I feel like that kind of still lingers there a little bit. Now Bret's like the top guy.
Right.
So obviously they're still going to be like, oh, come on, Bret, underdog, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. He does look like a star in comparison to the first Raw. He looks in pretty good shape. Nice body, big guy.
Yeah.
So
we get Stu and Helen Hart in front row. So I fully expected something to happen with them with Razor. Fully expected.
as soon as I saw that, I was like, Razor's going to go over there and he's going to slap him in the face. He should have done it during his entrance. He should have just been like, oh, hey, or throw his toothpick at him.
Well, so
anything.
So I like what he did with the toothpick, though, because Bret goes to the crowd to give a kid his glasses.
Yeah.
And then Razor leans over the top rope and throws the toothpick at the kid who just got the glasses.
That's 2 souvenirs.
Well, hey.
That's almost a face turn for Ramon right there. You want the sunglasses? Here's my toothpick, Chico.
Put it in your mouth, Chico.
Chico.
Well, still. But yeah, if he would have done that to Stu, that would have been awesome.
I would have had him do it to Stu, and then Bret doesn't even wait for his... He just runs out, tackles him, beats the crap. The fans would go apeshit over that.
Oh my God, and it would make sense.
And so much more intensity.
Yes.
It's like, oh, here we go, fight,
Yes.
and it's just instead.
Well,
it's
now it's personal though if you do that.
right.
You know. But yeah, I agree. Going into the match, I loved both Bret's and Razor's punches. I think historically those two guys have a really solid. Well, because Ramon's got a good snap to his and it makes a good sound. I've always liked Bret's kind of more thunderous that he does.
I agree.
Other guys that, Lawler, Sabu, I think has a great punch. But these guys always jump out to me when they're throwing punches. And I know it's a simple thing, but that stuff I notice.
It's the little things.
It's the little things.
I don't want to get off on a tangent, but like Billy Gunn's punches,
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Compared.
Yeah.
because he's like literally stomping his own foot.
Right.
And then like Hogan would punch his own hand. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, when you're trying to suspend your disbelief,
Exactly.
these guys laying it in there like that, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally agree.
Speaking of laying it in, Bret kind of works on the leg, so smart wrestling. He's setting up for the sharpshooter, obviously.
Which I noted in the Observer reports, it's Ramon's left knee, which he had apparently blown out.
Oh.
So
There you go.
I noticed that. I'm like, oh, maybe they're playing
There
into
you
it.
go.
So it made sense.
Yeah, see, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
And I remember you remarking on that in the first episode. So, that's smart. That makes me like it even more.
Yeah.
Other than that, Bobby does a Stu Hart impression on commentary. There's something with Bobby and Stu that always makes me laugh. Anytime he's talking about the Harts or Stu Hart or anything like that, you have to hear it. It's hilarious. And it's specifically Stu, though.
Yeah.
Specifically Stu. Maybe because he's an easy target. I don't know.
I wonder if they ever had like a history in the past.
I don't know.
It just
but
boiled over.
It's so funny. So funny. As Razor's laying it in, he's talking to trash to Bret as he's putting the boots to him, shouting something down after every kick. What he lacks making me believe on the mic, he makes up for in the ring here, I think.
I have to point out one thing.
Okay.
Now, for as good as a punch as Ramon can throw, I don't know if you noticed when he would deliver a knee lift,
Oh,
he wouldn't bend his knee. It was like a straight leg.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, so there's no impact.
Yeah.
And it's awkward as hell. I was looking at it. Because
Yeah.
he does like several in the corner. And I noticed with the first one, I'm like, okay, he just didn't bend his knee. And like the second and third, and I think even fourth one, like he still did not bend the knee. So he's just like doing like an awkward like hip bump with the guy. I'm just like, what?
That aside,
that bugged me a little bit.
Well,
but.
that aside though, because even I think Razor does a backbreaker on the outside,
Yes.
and it's like, oh shit, that probably hurt Bret pretty good. It looked like he landed pretty well.
Yeah, he does a backbreaker and then like rams him in the post or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep. I think this match did elevate Razor a little bit. I mean, most stuff was mat based in the ring, which I credit to Bret. Obviously, we saw a lot of holds and submissions applied by both guys. But as soon as we get another ref bump, like Razor pulls the ref down while he's in a submission.
Right.
The ref pops right back up and scolds Razor. So it's like, okay, here we go. We've kind of done another ref bump because Marty and Shawn had a ref bump. But the ref, no sells it. And
Well, if it's the same, they only do one, right?
yeah.
Okay, so I thought they noticeably set it up.
Yes.
Because the
Yes.
ref is literally scooting around with them, and then Razor pulls him down.
Yes.
I'm just like, you guys couldn't have hid that a little better,
Right.
Yeah,
I know. That's the same one. That's the
Okay.
same one. Moving to the camera work, I think we got really great shots of the Harts because there was one angle where it's Helen and Stu in between the legs of Bret crawling up on Razor, because he's getting beaten down.
Okay.
So this is just, you can see where the WWE is really ramping it up with production and stuff at this time, even on Raws and stuff. But this specifically, these little camera angles that they're going to use, they're going to use later
Well,
on.
then it's major storytelling.
Exactly.
You're focusing on the
Exactly.
family that has the main crutch of the feud.
So I give him really big credit right there. I really liked that shot, and I'm glad that because I've never seen that before, and this is a match I've never seen before, so that helps me.
What did you think about Gorilla and Bobby on commentary here? Because they start really promoting when he's working over the legs hard here, saying that they don't think Bret can get the sharpshooter on Ramon because his legs are too long.
See, I didn't notice that.
I don't know how that would impact him.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
If anything, would make it easier.
Yeah.
Like
if you're getting more leverage.
Yeah, like if he was fighting a midget,
that would be hard.
That would be difficult to like twist them around.
Then you put it around your ankle maybe and do that shot. Yeah, do it like that. But
I don't know if they said funny. They didn't say thick.
No,
long.
Yeah, long.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I do notice that. Well, to be fair, Scott Hall is a lanky guy. Like his arms and legs are pretty long. But I did notice the commentary team kind of really pushing that. And it's like, okay, we get it, but Bret's going to be able to put the sharpshooter on him. It's not going to be an impossible feat.
Yeah.
So I thought that was weird.
It was just...
I don't know. But I did notice that now that you mentioned it.
Okay.
What did you think of the match?
I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed it more than Jannetty Michaels.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fair.
I think, like I was telling you, and it's more in reference to the Savage Repo Man stuff, which I'm sure we'll maybe touch upon later, but it's a personal feud, stuff like, that whole nature of it. So, like, doing abdominal stretches, things like that,
For a good couple of minutes.
Yeah, I get it's wrestling and stuff like that, but if you insult my mom,
right,
I'm not going to put you on body scissors on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
There's not, like, rest holds, whatever, they have a purpose. This just doesn't have a purpose. A rest hold has a purpose for Boss Man and Bigelow.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
The opening tag match makes sense because there's not that major conflict.
Right.
But when you're having a fight, I would be inclined to think you're consistently trying to beat up the guy.
I would have even liked, and then this is something when I was watching, I was like, oh, I wish they would have done that. I would have liked Bret to hold Razor for Stu to get a slap in. Like for
on the floor.
Slap him. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or Helen.
Right.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
But nothing. We got
no.
Really. Did they even interact with Stu and Helen?
No, I thought when like Ramon did the backbreaker on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was on the same side that they were on.
I don't know.
It might have been.
I don't know.
You know what? Maybe it was. But no, there's no. How do you like that, Dad?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Stu doesn't stand up.
No.
Helen doesn't do anything.
No.
I think they show Helen like kind of concerned.
They
maybe
cut
once
to
or
him
twice.
a couple times. Yeah.
But there's no interact. I don't know how you build up a feud involving parents.
Yeah.
And then being like, you know what, just completely ignore it.
Yeah.
What?
I was disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I really was because.
Yes.
All right, so you get him out there, and I'm assuming Bret, got him the tickets or whatever. But you fly him out there, all this way from fucking Calgary to California, and they sit there like regular crowd members. We get nothing.
And they are indirectly involved in the angle.
In the feud, they're named specifically.
Yeah, that bothered me quite a bit.
I didn't like that.
In terms of in-ring, though, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It probably could have cut a few minutes off of it or something, but I thought it was pretty good. Hart worked the strings of Ramon very well.
Yeah, yep.
And Bret is the ultimate underdog champion, and I think he plays that role extremely well. The crowd was interested throughout the whole time. There's a couple of good near falls for Ramon in there, especially when Bret comes chest first out of the corner.
Yep.
And Ramon goes for a quick cover. They're like, oh, we almost got him. And Monsoon and Heenan kind of play that off pretty well. There were a few awkward moments, as noted, but overall, I would say it was a pretty good match and the best singles match on the show.
I was definitely pleasantly surprised. I was.
Yeah, I mean, Ramon hasn't been there long, and it's his first major singles match. Mm-hmm. So I would see a lot more potential in Ramon than I would Michaels coming out of there.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Still blows my mind that you would prefer Michaels and Jannetty as a better match than this. Because I was watching it...
So no. I expected that moving forward. Once we hit this match, I was like, okay. I was, I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, moving from the Jannetty match, I was like, great, if this is what we have to look forward to. But no, I agree. I think this was a cleaner... Yeah. Made sense, kind of what happened.
Neither one of them were drunk.
That helps. None of them were inebriated. But other than the Stu thing and like the lack of use, I would definitely give this match over to Jannetty and Michaels for 100%. Sure. For sure.
If there was that Stu interaction, like it would probably be more memorable than it is. I think it's a very underrated Royal Rumble title defense match.
I agree. Yeah, because like I said before, I hadn't even seen this before.
Yeah.
So
no, they never. Nobody ever talks about it.
No, never.
I mean, never. Is it a classic? No. But it's like not even a 20-minute match. Like I'd watch it again.
Well, if you're a Scott Hall fan, this is a match you want to seek out.
I would say potentially like it's one of his best matches in the WWF.
In the WWF.
And it doesn't involve a ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
And it doesn't involve the click.
I agree.
I 100% think it's one of his better matches.
Yeah. So again, if you're a Scott Hall fan, this is worth seeking out, I think.
Big moment coming up next, though.
Oh my god. I'm trying to see. Notice how I'm trying to cut back a little bit and not talk
You
about
almost
it?
like walked out the door. You're like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm tying my shoes right now, hoping we don't have to talk about this.
I don't understand your strong dislike for this.
Well, maybe what we should do is kind of like how you forgot Scott Steiner, which I'm still telling him, by the way, in the first episode. Maybe we should just skip this whole segment.
To be fair, I forgot about Scott and Rick.
Oh, Rick's a coward, remember, according to Bobby Heenan.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about him. It's Scott.
He's a known coward.
Known coward. Yeah. Go ahead. Bob, I am going to let you just crack this one out of the park so I can just come back and say it's a strikeout. So you go ahead.
All right, I'll say what I got in my notes. If you have anything to add, we'll go from there.
All right.
So I'm not going to say the word incorrectly, at least not on purpose. The narcissist is revealed by Bobby Heenan. As noted, Heenan continually uses the word incorrectly or says the word incorrectly.
Yeah.
I notice the crowd responds with a legitimate like shock that it's Lex Luger. They're like, oh, really? So I don't know if they did a good job of not revealing it on like syndicated shows prior to Raw and stuff like that, but from what I saw, they were just like, oh wow, it's really him. Luger has several mirrors for him to showcase his body.
It's like a trifold, right?
Yes. Yeah. And Heenan really sells Luger body to the point where it's like kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like he's really selling it. Like, look, give me the thigh one more time.
He was like jizzing his pants over. It's like, Bobby,
show me your pecs.
What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, it didn't sound like Heenan was overly comfortable doing it. Because I don't think it's his character would do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he really felt like he was trying to fill time as they continued on.
Yeah, yeah.
So Luger just continues to pose while the ladies in the crowd are screaming, which I guess is to be expected. This leads to Heenan interviewing Luger and says that Mr. Perfect is watching backstage and he's not perfect in comparison to Luger. Luger puts himself over as being incredible and says he'll be the most dominant force that the WWF has ever seen. All the wrestlers will bow down on their knees. He is beyond perfection. Luger says that Mr. Perfect will find out how great he is in the ring if Perfect has the guts to meet him in the ring. What do you think of the narcissist Lex Luger debuting in the WWF?
Where do I even start with this? First of all, Bobby says this is the moment the world has been waiting for.
Yes.
That's how he puts it over at first. So I'm already like, come on. The world is waiting for this.
Right.
Bobby.
The narcissist.
Stop it. So right off the bat, okay, so we see like the curtains down at first. And we finally get a name drop from Heenan. And like you said, I think the crowd was kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Lex Luger. Okay.
Yeah.
Curtain comes up. Lex is kneeling in front of the trifold mirror. The whole thing is just cringeworthy. It's like, and his music is like slow wedding music. It's like,
you hate the music.
I hate the music.
I think it fits the character very well.
Oh my god.
Okay.
So you love it.
Did I write love? No, I wrote I oddly like it.
I oddly hate it.
Okay. Just because you have to look at it from a different perspective. Luger is so self-absorbed.
Okay.
So the music is very slow. Dun, 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 dun. You know? I nailed that, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like an Adonis walking out. It's like, look at my body. Slowly going around. You know?
I guess.
So in that regard, I think it fits him very well. And I remember having the Royal Rumble video game for Sega, and I liked listening to his music on the game.
You're a nerd.
I'm not ashamed of it.
You're a nerd. Did you like looking at his body too?
Not as much as Bobby Heenan did.
Yeah, near jizz.
Close.
Near jizz, yeah.
Yes.
To me, I think Lex Luger has always looked like a jacked up Bon Jovi.
That's a
And
fair.
he looks like Bon Jovi. That's all I could keep seeing.
If you keep on talking like this, he'll never do the opening for this.
Well, he's not going to listen to this. He's too busy.
You never know.
He's too busy, big guy.
It gets really snowy in Buffalo.
That's where he's from?
Yeah. I think he still lives there.
Well, you think.
I think.
We don't know. This is not rumor here.
Right.
But, yeah, man, I just from top to bottom, I even noticed they cut to one of the girls in the crowd, and I don't know whether or not they were laughing at Lex Luger, but they're laughing.
They're laughing at the whole situation.
So am I.
Yeah.
Because it's shit.
Yeah.
I hated
For
this.
you,
I hated this.
the segment is definitely uncomfortable just because Heenan goes really strong on it.
Yeah.
But I did find it was kind of, I don't really think they necessarily played it up as if Luger was perfect in the ring.
Just not on the mic either.
No, but like
not on the mic either.
But like perfect, like physical wise.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the I don't think people should necessarily get the impression like, oh, this guy's gonna be phenomenal.
I sincerely hope not.
Right, because if they did get that, whoops.
Refund.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you went over, he does get a promo here. Lex Luger does get a promo here, more of an interview, kind of like you said. I just. With Lex using such big words, it sounded silly. Like he goes, "I'm mesomorphically a perfect specimen." What's mesomorphically?
Okay, it
That's
doesn't
not even a word.
It's not anything Luger would ever say.
Never.
And it felt as if he had rehearsed it 30 times
That's
to
a
make sure he got
script.
the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a script.
I wouldn't even try saying that now because there's no way I'd say it correctly.
Yeah. I'm
So
lucky
I
I
can't
just got it on my notes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Like I can't imagine Luger being backstage like, oh shit.
Yeah. He
What am I
probably
gonna say?
saw that script and said, what's WCW saying? Because I could go back.
Is Bischoff in charge yet? Because I'll go back. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah. And to top it all off with Bobby saying this is like the highlight moment of his career. He's trying to push the curtain out of the way from coming down so you can still see Luger's like body and
that's
stuff.
when he's like, go show me the calf one more time.
Yeah.
Show me the quad.
Yeah. And it goes on. The segment ends with like Bobby Heenan announcing his name one more time. And he's like, Luger! He drags it on so long. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Bobby, you're disappointing me.
They probably could have delivered this a little better.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? It blows my mind that so much emphasis is going on Luger here on the WWF side. Like, I'm surprised they're all in with this gimmick right here.
No, I mean, Luger, I would say Luger was relatively known, or pretty well known.
Like a name guy.
Yeah, coming from WCW.
Yeah.
And he was in the WBF. Mm-hmm. So this isn't his first appearance on television. But I remember at WrestleMania 8, like he does that promo for the WBF, and he like chugs a glass of milk.
Oh.
And I think even then, like, Heenan loses his mind. He's like, oh, did you see him?
Oh.
You know? Do you think, right now, obviously, it's like we're almost, I guess, towards the new generation. I don't think they're calling it that yet. But,
not quite yet, I don't think.
I would say the WWF is pretty low on star power.
Yes.
Would you consider Luger a star for the WWF at this point?
Only out of desperation. Like you said, the guy's established. Like, people probably know who he is.
Well, judging by the reaction, they were shocked.
They're like,
whoa.
Judging by... So, in that sense, yes. Personally, honestly, I don't even think I would have brought him in as a heel. Just have him be Lex Luger. Kind of like the big, jacked up good guy. I think. Why has he got to be a narcissist heel? I don't know. I don't think it works.
I think it does. I think the idea of him being a narcissist works very well because he has the body. He has that douchey attitude coming right out. I mean, at the end of his WCW run, he was a heel, just not obviously a character heel.
To this extent. Yeah.
Right. So I do think it fits for him. And it's also especially good because you look at Bret Hart, your world champion. He doesn't really have a lot of heels lined up for him.
For better or worse.
Right, leading into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So right now, right off the bat, you have Razor that has debuted and challenged and failed. Bigelow's a new guy. Now you put in Luger in there. You know, guys like Yokozuna. You know, there's I feel like a lot of fresh heels that, as the underdog face champion Bret can work with. Do I think Bret and Luger would have a great match? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I think the role that he's in right now, the character they gave him coming in, sure is poorly executed here. But I think there's potential for this to be one of the better versions of Luger.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? They needed it. They needed it at this time.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was relatively thin on the other team of heels versus face. But again, for me, from memory, I've never really enjoyed Luger, whether he was a heel or a face. So I might be a little biased to it, especially with the Bobby Heenan thing. And it was just overall, I was disappointed. I think I have seen a little bit of this before, maybe in highlight packages or something, but to say that there is highlight packages of Lex Luger would be
You might have
pushing it a little bit.
You might have seen like a YouTube video of like top 10 worst debuts or something, and this could have been included on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a possibility.
It's not a good debut. There's no
agree.
way to say that it was. Should we mention Cesar?
I did.
I
have it in my notes.
All right. Well, they come out and they introduce that they'll be hosting WrestleMania 9 in Las Vegas. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous.
It's so long and drawn out.
Yeah.
Like, get to the point. Even the crowd seemed a little confused. It's like, what's going on
I thought they
here?
were kind of laughing at it.
They were.
Yeah.
They were like, is this a serious thing? Like, should we take this seriously?
Yeah. It's just such a filler moment here. It's announced, I believe it was announced prior to this anyway, that the winner of the Royal Rumble match will meet the WWF World Champion, should it be Bret Hart or somebody else, in the main event at the event. And this is the first year the stipulation had been introduced and has remained ever since. Because the year prior was for the vacant title,
right,
and arguably the best Rumble ever to happen.
Right.
And the other years it was just for bragging rights, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the stipulation of the winner winning the number one contendership for the world title? Do you like the idea?
Yeah, I think it makes it, mean more than to be just like, hey, I won the Royal Rumble, how cool am I? I really like when the belt's on the line, though, because even in, like, recent memory, when the championship's on the line in the Royal Rumble, it's all bets are off. Like, okay, the belt's going to change hands after this one.
Right, and I think when you do that, the champion has to be number one.
Yeah.
If you have him come out number 30, then it's not really a title defense to me. So, yeah.
Right. So, whereas maybe for Bret being the ultimate underdog, if they went that route with him, that would have really kind of made sense, I think. If they were to say, okay, if they came up with some sort of feud to where the belt had to be on the line in the Rumble, Bret, I think, would have really gained.
Okay, so that's a good idea. So let's say he were to have entered, let's say this year the Royal Rumble, the belt's on the line.
Right.
Which, in theory, might have been a good idea.
Last year it was.
In theory, maybe this would have been a good idea because it is a weak title defense storyline-wise.
And they're light on heels again, like
right.
we talk about.
So let's say he enters number one. Would you have him win the whole thing? Me personally, I don't think it would be necessarily believable.
Yeah.
If a guy like Bret Hart
right.
enters number one,
right,
and then wins the whole damn thing, because once we go through everybody that's in it, it's like that guy could have tossed him out. And all you gotta do is toss him out of the ring,
right,
over the top.
Well, this could have helped build Ramon and Bret as more of a one-on-one physical feud, to where maybe Ramon gives him the hardest time in the Rumble or something like that, or some kind of build to kind of, like you said, we talked about it before, where it's like an indirect feud. Here's an opportunity to make it a direct feud. Hey, you cost me my championship at the Royal Rumble. Not only am I going to get it back, but I want you at WrestleMania.
Right.
It's me and you, buddy.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think for what it was and where we were at with the championship, I think it would have been cool to have that happen 2 times in a row too. I feel like the crowd would be like, "Oh, again? Awesome. Let's do it." I don't know. It's an idea.
I never really thought about that, but yeah, because the lead into WrestleMania could lead to a different feud,
right?
A new feud of sorts for the title,
right?
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more that's probably not a bad idea. Just have the title on the line. I mean, you can have Bret last a while or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even if he's one of the final 4 or however you do it, Speaking of the Rumble, the crowd was very relieved that was up next after all of the BS we've gotten on this show so far. Not to say that the Rumble was a 5-star match by any means, but it definitely builds excitement, and that's always what the Rumble's been good for. even as a fan today, and I don't even like the current product per se, I look forward to the Royal Rumble. I don't know why. I always have.
I think it's for me at least, it's mostly like the surprises.
Yeah.
I feel like every year you kind of have a rough idea of who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago there was the surprise, I guess, with like Sheamus or whatever, but generally speaking, I feel like you have a general idea of who's going to win it.
Right.
And to be fair, I mean, Rumbles are pretty boring for them. I mean, because they're
moving, yeah. Match wise,
a lot of it's like, oh, we'll brawl in the corner.
Yeah.
Guy comes out, gets his 15 seconds of getting stuff in, and it's right back to
full head of steam, and then it's just he's in the shuffle somewhere.
Yeah. Eye poke. Okay, let's go brawl.
Right. I mean, in that sense, yeah, it's kind of lame, but I think as an event and as a promotion, I think it's one of my favorite things. As good, for better or worse. Okay. For better or worse.
Well, here we go then. The 1993 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
The first entrant is former WWF World Champion Nature Boy Ric Flair, who had the previous year entered number 3 and won the whole damn thing.
Oh.
So there is the possibility of, hey, what's the difference those 2 minutes make?
Right.
This guy could potentially win the whole thing.
Now, I have to say, I fully expected Mr. Perfect to be number 2.
You did?
Absolutely. Give him a good couple of minutes in the ring before it starts getting nuts and go from there. I swear I thought it was going to be Mr. Perfect next. For sure.
I could see that. But then I feel like at this point they're not really trying to make it look like as if it's rigged.
Well.
Come on. It's a work, brother. Instead, it's not Mr. Perfect. It's even better. It's Bob Backlund.
Oh, fuck.
Who is a former WWF World Champion. He had a major role with the WWF in the 80s, working for WWF while Flair was in WCW. So this is kind of like a clash of, hey, man, 70s and 80s, let's go at it. In the 90s.
No.
I think maybe you and I will have different opinions on Bob Backlund. Because going into here, I'll tell you right now, I didn't care about Bob Backlund. But I think he might have won me over at the end of this.
Well, side note on Bob Backlund, he was at a local Syracuse Crunch game not too long ago.
Did you have to name all the presidents?
No. So here's the thing. Okay. Right, yeah. First of all, he charged an exorbitant amount of money to get a picture and autograph with him.
Well, he held the world title for like 9 years.
Nobody's paying that.
How much money was it?
I don't remember, but I know I was like, there's no way I'm paying that to meet Bob Backlund. So right off the bat, and with that mixed in, like you said, he makes people do stuff when you meet him.
Yeah.
It's like,
you have to name the presidents
in
order.
Guy. Yeah, I don't like this guy.
So that's just on a personal level.
Yeah, it's personal.
Okay.
Me and Bob don't get along.
Not me.
Well, maybe you.
Maybe by the end of this.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. You have any notes with their interactions? I mean, it felt pretty basic there. First 2 minutes.
I mean, they bounced around the ring a little bit. I feel like the offense looked a little ridiculous. A lot of it was basic stuff, like you said, but I feel like even with the way Flair's selling it, he's like bouncing around the ring with Backlund. I don't know.
Overdoing it?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Our third entrant is one of my favorite gimmicks, character for this time, is Papa Shango, who shockingly still gets a pretty good heel reaction.
Absolutely. And now think of this, though. So you have Bob Backlund, Ric Flair, and Papa Shango.
The legendary Papa Shango.
In the ring.
Yes.
Hello, 1993. How awesome is that?
Well, you start off with 2 world champions and a world champion caliber character.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, he lasts all of 30 seconds.
Yeah, he was dumped out pretty quick.
Before Flair dumps him out out of the ring there.
Yep.
The fourth entrant is the current 1/2 title holder of the WWF World Tag Team Championships, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, one of my favorite wrestlers.
So you're a fan of him?
Yes.
I didn't think you would be.
I like Money Incorporated.
See, that's where you lose me.
See, well, here's the thing. Even as a kid, anytime I'd rent those Coliseum videos, I'd be like, is Money Incorporated on it? Yes, they were.
That's your selling point.
Yep. And then every time they were on it, they'd either be fighting Virgil and Tito Santana, or the Bushwhackers.
There you go.
So their matches were atrocious, but I don't know. I like the theme music. I like the presentation.
What's with you and the music, Bob?
I like his laugh.
Of course.
Bah!
Of course.
Money, money, money.
And he hasn't lost it at all, by the way.
No.
Even like the 25th
Still
anniversary
not, yeah.
Raw, still so good.
Yeah. So he's the fourth entrant. Following him is one of the guys that Money Incorporated is currently feuding with over the tag titles, is Brian Knobbs, who shockingly gets a good reaction. I'm starting to think the crowd is just amped.
They got it. Well, because like I said, they've seen a lot of BS before this. So I knew going into this, they were going to probably eat it up because they've been dying for this match probably the whole night.
Right.
I have to note here, though, that it really looked like they were stalling until Brian Knobbs came out. I thought specifically, it was cool to see Flair and DiBiase work together on Backlund, but I just feel like they were really already. It's only 3 or 4 people in. We're already stalling major, which kind of sucked. But
that's interesting to point out. When Knobbs does come in, though, he cleans house on DiBiase and Flair and nearly eliminates Flair.
Yeah, almost throws him out.
I was in my recliner and I was like, he almost tossed him out of the ring.
Yeah.
I wondered if Knobbs was just so amped. He's like, oh, here we go, man. I'm in it.
Fuck it, I'm going off script.
I'm gonna main event WrestleMania for real.
I'll show you, Bret.
Entry number 6. I'm not proud of this one either, but growing up was one of my favorite guys. I even met him at a Kmart. Is Virgil. He goes right after DiBiase to continue their 1.5 feud at this point.
Well, as soon as Virgil slides in, DiBiase is already kicking him. Like, he's already beating his ass. He's like, oh, I know this guy.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
Following Virgil coming in is the second elimination. Brian Knobbs is dumped out of the ring when DiBiase ducks a charging attempt, causing Knobbs at the floor. So there goes the wish of Knobbs and Bret Hart.
Right. Broke a lot of hearts that night, yeah.
Pity City.
Yeah.
Get it? Pity
What
City.
a pity.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
The 7th entrant is Jerry Lawler, fresh from the USWA, where he still competes. He goes right after Virgil. But Flair pulls him aside, which kind of confused me, and just starts punching him.
Yeah.
2 heels just going right at each other.
Because even Flair bailed out under the bottom rope to get away from Lawler, who was building ahead of steam.
Okay.
So it's like I feel like they're kind of building Lawler here a little bit. Like, okay, this is kind of cool.
I think that's interesting that they're trying to build him up because I think very quickly we kind of realize he's not that strong of a character. He's more like a cowardly, borderline comedic character for the most part.
Which he definitely falls into.
And he was presented leading into this as being on the commentary team.
Yes.
So for like a month, he's just been a commentator.
Right.
From there, we get the 8th entrant, which is Max Moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He, it's funny too, when he's working over Flair, once he's in, his mask kept seeming to give him trouble. Yeah. So I thought, which was weird because in the first Raw that we saw, it was fine. He even skins the cat at one point, and it's like, this is Max Moon we're talking about here. But eventually he's dumped over by Lawler as soon as the great Tenryu enters to fight Flair.
Oh, yes. At this point, Flair and Backlund had been in the match for 20 minutes already.
And I noticed that, and I noted that as well, because
Monsoon tells us.
Consistently, the rest of the match.
Which would, I think, kind of give you a hint, like, these guys might be around for a bit.
Right, right. I think so, too.
And I like how, because as we get through it, it kind of adds to storytelling, because it all kind of ties in together towards the end.
Right, right. Tenryu's throwing chops like crazy on Flair, which I really, really liked. I wish I would have gave these guys a singles match on the card. I think Tenryu's one of the most underrated Japanese wrestlers. And to work with Flair, obviously, I think that would have been really good.
Well, you know more about him than I would ever know about. I did think it was interesting, though. Moon and Tenryu were pretty much the first 2 guys to not really get much of a reaction.
Right.
Obviously, I don't think anybody in Sacramento knew much about Tenryu.
Probably not.
Okay. Following that would probably be the guy that gets the biggest reaction to this point. Is the 10th entrant. It's Mr. Perfect, who sprints to the ring. Mm-hmm. Like, he could not wait to get in there, and he just goes right after Flair. The crowd goes nuts. Pretty intense interaction there.
Yeah. Huge reaction. Huge. Real quick, though, in between, another classic line we get from commentary. Bobby goes, where do you think they got the term chop suey from?
Oh, Jesus.
As Tenryu's chopping Flair in the corner. How good is that? So good.
We should just have a podcast where we just watch every show that Heenan ever commentated on and just have all of his lines.
You could.
And we just laugh about it for like 8 hours.
You could. You definitely could.
He's amazing.
Not to take anything away from Perfect, though. Like you said, the crowd was
Yes.
going nuts.
You know what? And I want to point out, in the first episode here, I had commented that the January 18th show was taped. In fact, it was not. That was live, and the next one that we watch is taped.
See?
On the same day.
That sucks.
Right.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I'll mention it again when we have that episode, just to give context, because something kind of major happens on the next episode.
Okay.
Entrant 11 is everybody's favorite dipper guy, spitting the dip, chewing tobacco, Skinner.
Yeah. Representing the name.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
That's right. How's your dad doing?
Ugh.
Okay.
No, there's no relation, Bob.
Following Skinner's entrance is our fourth elimination. Shockingly, it's Ric Flair. He gets tossed out by Mr. Perfect following a clothesline, and Flair just flips out.
Yeah.
Can't believe he lost.
Yeah.
Got eliminated by his hated rival in Mr. Perfect. I also have it noted here for some reason that following the elimination, Virgil's holding Lawler for Perfect to hit him, and Perfect just, no. I'm good. He just walks away. Yeah. I don't know why. That's why I don't know why I wrote it down, but it just caught my eye.
Well, you can tell there's a couple of guys in here that are completely like Tenru's in the corner just standing there. As Perfect's going nuts, flying around the ring. Tenru's like awkwardly in the corner, like, okay.
I wonder if Virgil's just like, how the hell am I still in here and Flair's out?
Probably.
You know, he wasn't really relevant at this point.
Yeah.
12th entrant, Coco Beware.
Pretty decent reaction for Coco.
Again, I think that's his Sacramento being like, here we go, man, WrestleMania. Coco's gonna win it. So pumped.
He just swung on anybody when he got in the ring. And I have to note again here, Skinner also skins the cat. So we've got two.
It's happened a few times.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I thought that was just kind of like a finishing gimmick. Like, he's back in. And it's like, no, everybody's doing it here.
Maybe they're trying to be like, hey, Vince, look at me. I know drama. Give me that push.
I guess.
Yeah. Entrant number 13 is Head Shrinker Samu. Nothing really notable there.
And except for Alpha throwing him in by his hair.
Oh, yeah. Like following him is entrant number 14, Berserker.
So for me, Berserker here looks like a ripoff Bruiser Brody in a dress.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what his outfit is, but it's horrible. How they convinced him to be in the ring and still act like a badass is beyond me, because, like, it don't work. It's horrible.
I've heard he's like a legitimate badass, though.
Really?
Yeah. A nice guy, but I've heard he's a badass.
Wow, I'm surprised by that.
Following Berserker's entrance, there's 3 eliminations. Jerry Lawler's the 6th elimination by Mr. Perfect following a backdrop.
Yep.
And then Mr. Perfect himself gets eliminated when Lawler holds him on the floor, allowing DiBiase to toss Perfect to the floor after a brief struggle.
Yeah.
That would make me believe that we're going to get an angle here between Lawler and Perfect.
You would think so. Because it's Coco and DiBiase trying to get him out.
Right.
And then Lawler's the one who just pulls him out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's...
They do have an interaction on the floor as well. So I would be inclined to think that maybe on Raw here in a few weeks we'll have a showdown between them.
Yeah.
And then the 8th elimination is, sadly, Virgil.
Yes. In the midst of the chaos, he's thrown out.
I'm really devastated about that. He's a childhood hero. Couldn't pull it
Maybe
off.
next year. 1994 could be the year of Virgil.
I'm holding out hope.
Hey, we'll get there.
Entrant number 15 is The Undertaker, who easily gets the longest and loudest reaction to this point.
Oh, my God, yes. The crowd was literally on their feet for that.
Yeah. So this is probably... him and Perfect are probably...
Yes.
And Flair.
Yes.
Are the stars
Yep.
in terms of reaction.
Yep.
During this segment here, Berserker is hitting Backlund with a steel chair on the floor, but neither man was eliminated.
Yeah.
So there was brawling.
Yeah.
Berserker also just slams Backlund on the concrete floor. Kind of going with that whole wild man idea.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not working because it doesn't make sense.
I kind of think it does. Because you have Backlund being the number 2 guy.
Right.
The odds are stacked against him from the jump. And then you have Berserker just slamming him on concrete floor.
Good.
There's a point here where I forget about Bob Backlund.
Well, you can't because the announcers keep saying how old he is. 45-year-old man.
Yeah, well.
They say it so many times. How do you forget about Bob
Storytelling.
No. No Backlund.
Oh my God, storytelling. Okay, from there we get 2 eliminations, both from the Undertaker. He tosses out Samu and Tenryu.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Taylor's the 16th entrant. Nothing.
No.
Okay,
Nope.
just casually go on from there.
Yeah.
Elimination. Coco Beware by DiBiase. Terry Taylor doesn't last very long. He's thrown out at number 12 by DiBiase. And then Ted DiBiase gets eliminated as well by The Undertaker. It's the 13th guy eliminated. But the major storyline moment here, monumental moment, which I'm sure you're glowing about right now, I can tell. At this point in time, a enormous man wearing a bodysuit, a hairy bodysuit, makes his way down to the ring, and he's accompanied by Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah.
During this entrance, the Berserker's eliminated by The Undertaker.
So real quick, Undertaker has just thrown out at least 5 people. Like, he's clearing house.
I think I have the number here.
A ton of people.
Times here. I can't find it. 4.
Okay.
He tossed out 4 guys.
All right. So, yeah, he's clearing house. So that sets up to the point where it's like, okay, this guy's a monster. But now look who's coming out. You want to see a monster? The WWF will show you a monster.
And this guy is not an entrant.
No.
Nor is he presented as being as such.
Right.
So, Berserker gets eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
And then this huge fella, I'm not going to stall time here. His name's the Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Taker doesn't back down from him. Gets right in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fight. Well, I should say Gonzalez just destroys The Undertaker.
Yeah, he like chops him out of the ring.
Yes. So that leads to The Undertaker being the 15th elimination. And then comically, they have the 17th entrant, who is Damien Demento, but he just remains on the aisle.
Yeah.
This
I know.
Damien Demento, who is a lunatic.
He wants nothing to do with it.
He's like, who the hell's that hairy guy? I'm staying here on the floor where it's safe.
Yeah.
Taker continues to be attacked on the floor. Damien Demento noticeably goes on the opposite side of the ring.
Yes.
And Taker is brought back into the ring after being sent to the ring steps and is easily driven down to the mat with a choke slam.
Right.
Mind you, obviously, Taker has been eliminated.
Right.
Taker then remains underneath the bottom rope by the ring post, because I believe his legs get wrapped around the ring post, which is exactly what happens after IRS is the 18th entrant, who also remains on the floor.
Yes.
So no one has entered the ring.
The only thing, well, comparatively, so you got a Luger debut, quote unquote, and then a Giant Gonzalez debut.
Right.
Which one do you think is more effective?
In terms of a monster, well, it has to be Gonzalez, because he's
Gonzalez.
a monster. He's being presented as a monster.
That's how you do a debut. Although I don't like that it kind of derailed the whole Rumble match.
You're 100% right, because there's like a lull here.
Wicked.
I'd say 15 minutes
Too long.
easily.
Too long.
Where it's just like, that's like a high point, and it's just like, why is it still going on?
And then you don't know who's in the match. It's like, it's chaos. You don't know what's going on.
And this is where I had completely forgot about Backlund.
Yeah.
Because it had been several minutes,
and
nothing had been addressed about him. From there, entrant number 19, Tatanka.
Yeah.
I don't understand your dislike for this guy.
Yay!
I mean, the lull probably doesn't help with like the amount of like the people that come out.
No, yeah.
Like it's wicked.
Oh, it's bad. Well, because then you get Nasty Boy Jerry Sags.
Right.
He's out next. Let me tell you, this Rumble wasn't turning out exactly as I hoped talent-wise. I feel they're really scraping the bottom.
A lot of tag teams.
A lot of tag teams. And a lot of guys who really have no position on any cards. And he's just like, okay, what's he doing out here?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it like Tatanka had been feuding with Rick Martel for the entire year of 92 and always beat him easily.
Right.
So he's kind of like lost in the shuffle here. Mm-hmm. Still gets a pretty good reaction. Jerry Sags, who I honestly was my number 2 choice behind Brian Knobbs to win the whole thing, gets a pretty good reaction.
I'll pretend you didn't say that. We can move on.
Nope. Jerry Sags, man. WrestleMania 9 should have done it.
This is where I was starting to check out a little bit.
I agree.
For the Royal Rumble. They do make mention, though, the commentary team does make mention we're at the 36-minute mark for Backlund. Unlike a fine wine, he does not get better with the passing of time, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I'm just sick of, A, hearing his name, and B, seeing him just kind of dog around the ring. Like, I'm done with Bob Backlund. 36 minutes of Bob Backlund is plenty.
I'll comment on that a little bit later. So Jerry Sagazov is the number 20 entrant. Typhoon is the 21st entrant.
Yep.
Entrant number 22 is Fatu, but Monsoon pronounces it as Fat 2.
Speaking of fat, Bobby quips when fucking Typhoon is running out to the ring that he hasn't seen Typhoon run that fast since the buffet line.
Yes, I do remember that line.
Bobby's just got those stinging where it's like, we kind of touched on it last episode. Your commentary team probably wouldn't be saying that today.
No.
You know?
Unless it was like a comedy big guy or something.
Purposefully. Yeah, purposefully.
Yeah. Entrant number 23 is Earthquake. And I like how Heenan mentions Earthquake having issues with IRS, or IRS having issues with the Disasters and the Nasty Boys. Mm-hmm. However, completely ruining that commentary, Quake enters and immediately attacks his own partner, Typhoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of like that.
I get it. Every man for themselves.
Yeah.
I get it.
I like that.
And like that's Quake saying, Typhoon, you're my clear, main challenger at this point.
Yeah. Yep. Biggest threat.
Speaking of which, number 16th elimination is Typhoon when he misses a splash in the corner, and I was not expecting Typhoon to take that type of bump.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither.
So respect to that.
Absolutely.
The 24th entrant is Carlos Colon, who Monsoon calls a youngster.
How did I miss that?
He's not a youngster. I mean, I don't have...
Visibly, he's not a youngster.
Yes, I did not write down his age, but
oh my God.
if I had to guess, easily in his 50s at this point.
I have it noted here that he was looking like a Headlock on Hunger recipient.
Oh my God.
So that just tells you how good he was looking.
Oh my God. He won a charity auction, so you're like, hey, you're the 24th entrant in the 1993 Royal Rumble.
Holy shit.
You can feed your country for 6 months.
Here you go, brother.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Maybe this should speak volumes of where Damien Demento was in the good graces of WWF, because the 17th elimination is Damien Demento by Carlos Colon.
And then I was his number one fan. I was like, let's go, Colon. Let's go.
You can do it. I believe in you.
For Puerto Rico.
Oh, my God. That's funny, the Headlock on Hunger recipient. Entrant 25 is El Matador Tito Santana.
Yes.
Nothing really going on there.
Not much. Nope.
Elimination here is the 18th one is Fatu by Bob Backlund. Yep. I have it noted here, and this is why I waited a minute. Bob Backlund has gotten himself over with a live crowd. The fans are noticeably cheering for him as he avoids eliminations at this point.
I agree.
To the point where they are rooting for Bob to win. I think I hear later on, maybe around this time, a "Let's Go Bob" chant.
I can't argue with that. And later on, I'll have a comment on that, seeing as what happens. But yes, I agree. He definitely did a good job of A, putting the Rumble over.
Oh, yeah.
And B, surviving and making the crowd invested in, hey, we can hope Bob Backlund friggin' wins this.
He won me over. I mean, I know what happens, but I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm trying to sell myself on a Backlund Bret Hart match at WrestleMania 9.
I can't do it.
I don't think it'd be a moneymaker.
I'm not there, but I'm glad that you are.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I didn't say I did get there, but I was like thinking, Backlund. I mean, Backlund's kind of maybe could do something.
It was like technical.
Yeah, let's see. And then it's just like I don't think I could sell myself on it. No. The 26th entrant is Rick the Model Martel.
Right after Tito, naturally.
Right. Strike Force collide.
Yep.
There's an elimination here as IRS is tossed out by Earthquake.
I see ya.
Which, kind of seals their feud, I would say, from 92.
Yep.
And then we get entrant number 27. The mighty Yokozuna.
Yes.
Now, I was anticipating commentary to be like, Yokozuna's 650 pounds. We noted that before he was 505.
Yes.
Monsoon just says he's 500 plus.
Plus. That's all we get.
Plus.
500 plus.
Not 505, not 520.
But we still have a long way to go.
That is true.
Long way to go.
Yeah, yes.
So I wasn't expecting it here. I was expecting the 500
WrestleMania
plus.
9.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on record right now. They say he's 550.
You're saying 550?
At WrestleMania 9, he's 550. I have no idea. Okay. I haven't watched WrestleMania 9 in forever.
Yeah.
I'm going 550.
I think that's a safe bet.
Okay.
I think that's a safe bet.
All right, so we got to make sure that we remember to get his weight. Watch us just totally forgets.
No, I'm not forgetting.
Okay, 550.
It's in the front of my brain.
Yokozuna wastes no time. in terms of tossing people out. The 20th elimination's Tatanka. My boy Tatanka.
Thank God.
Tossed right out. I'm surprised that doesn't qualify as his undefeated streak ending. He's
That's
undefeated.
a good point.
I mean, I know it's not pinfall or submission, but he technically
He
lost
lost
the
the
match.
Royal Rumble match.
So that should be
That's a good
he's
point.
not undefeated anymore.
Real quick, too, here. I
Yes.
know we talked about it first episode. This is where Bobby says that Fuji's been feeding him nothing but rice and sushi the past month.
Yes.
So I know you mentioned that. I wanted to put it in here
Yes.
because he does say that.
He does. And I remember when he said it, I was like, I knew it. I knew he
Yes.
would say it. And
Yes.
He probably says it numerous times throughout
Sure.
the lead up here. Yes, okay. Elimination 21. Carlos Colon. The young wonder.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Tossed out.
Yeah. That's all right. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. He's a young, strapping
kid.
individual. So,
Yes. I'm sure he'll be a household name.
sure.
It's at this point that Yokozuna and Earthquake have a showdown, and the crowd seems to be behind it.
So, funnily enough, for me, I really liked this moment because
I do too. I like Earthquake.
so do I. I think he's really underrated, which is funny because I hate big guy wrestlers.
I do too.
So, are you familiar with like Earthquake's
History,
background?
yes. He does have a sumo background.
He's got a sumo background.
Yes.
He's exiled from sumo though because he had a tattoo.
Right.
And in Japan,
LSU Tiger.
Yeah, in Japan they assume, tattoos affiliate you with, especially in sports, the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia. So the fact that WWE, maybe indirectly or directly, I'm not even sure, kind of makes mention to Earthquake's prior career is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like you see Yoko, who's obviously playing the sumo gimmick, with a guy who was, actually in it. So
And
that's awesome.
And I think to the casual fans, like, they wouldn't know that.
They wouldn't know that.
Yeah, so
they
they're
wouldn't
they're
know
just looking at Earthquake like, okay.
that. Little big guy.
They actually play into this much later on, I would say.
Right.
So that's not the last time we see that. Entrant 28 is Owen Hart, who doesn't get an entrance. At least it's not shown.
Yeah.
As the focus
He's
is on
just
Yoko.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you see Owen slide in and he goes way around the two just to totally avoid that situation.
Yeah.
And like just starts getting into the chaos in a
Yeah.
corner or something.
I thought that was kind of awkward.
It was.
You probably should. I would have had Owen come out first and then do the.
I agree.
Earthquake splashes Yokozuna in the corner and gets some substantial offense, but misses a second time in the corner.
Yep.
And Yokozuna is able to toss Earthquake over the top with a belly-to-belly suplex, which shocked the hell out of me.
Now, he was barely able to do it.
Yes.
But the fact that Yokozuna just belly-to-belly suplexed Earthquake out of the ring.
Right.
These big guys in this match are taking fucking huge bumps.
100%.
Huge Typhoon
never would have expected
flew
that.
out of the ring.
Flew, yes.
It's awesome.
I mean, Quake has done that before in
Yeah.
matches against like Money Incorporated and stuff like
Right.
that, but like, Typhoon never.
Right.
And then seeing this, Quake sure as hell helps him out in doing it.
Sure.
But the visual,
Is awesome.
yeah,
Is awesome.
And Yokozuna's a new guy. Quake has had he has a
He's
name.
established.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the feud with Hogan, stuff like that. So you see this huge guy Yokozuna just toss out Earthquake. It's like,
Holy shit.
whoa, boy,
Yeah.
what's going on? Who's our champion again? Bret. Oh, he's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta say, man, the big guys in this match were working their asses off.
I thought they
which
were
was
very
awesome.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming off of that, we get entrant number 29, who is Repo Man.
Yeah.
Moving on, everyone.
I
teams...
get hopes. Hold on.
Okay. All right,
Hold on.
I'll go back to Lex Luger.
Then I'll go back to my car and fucking leave here.
Okay.
So again, in this situation, I'm expecting Savage to be out next. It's a feud. It's like I feel like that's coming,
Right.
but that's not the case.
Well, everyone tries to eliminate Yokozuna, but they are unable to do so as Yokozuna just fights them all off.
Yeah, he like peels them off one by one.
Which it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, you have
Right.
7 guys or whatever, and he's just using one hand. And,
Yeah, it's just literally
you
a
know,
punch.
Yeah, and they're just overselling it.
Now, Bobby here, going back to commentary,
Okay.
compares Yokozuna to a post-pregnant dog who is at feeding time with everybody lined up on him.
Oh yes.
So, like, all the puppies on the nipples.
Right.
Comparing Yoko to a post-pregnant dog was something else, I thought. I feel like Yoko is getting no breaks on commentary. No, they're just ripping every time they see him.
I don't know why.
It's like a mockery. They're
Yeah.
like mocking him.
They're positioning him clearly as the next top heel.
Yeah.
And you're making all these either fat jokes or feeding time jokes.
Pregnant puppy jokes.
Yeah, like what are you accomplishing?
It just feels like it devalues Yoko, and that's something he really doesn't need. Because, again, he is new. They're trying to establish this monster heel. And it's like a mother dog feeding her puppies.
I'm scared of him. If I'm Bret Hart, I'm like, holy shit.
Bobby Heenan ain't.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit.
That's true. From there, though, we have our final entrant.
Yes.
Randy Macho Man Savage.
Who
easily gets the biggest pop, I would say.
How could you not? Yeah, how could you not?
Which,
out of everybody, maybe...
Taker might have.
Yeah, Taker, Flair, perfect.
Well, Flair didn't get a pop. That's heel pop.
Well, heel.
Perfect,
A
though.
reaction.
Yeah, I would say Savage Taker's close 1-2, but I got to give it to Savage.
Yeah.
Just because everybody, they have more invested, I would say, with Savage.
Yep.
So Savage promptly goes right after Repo.
Of course.
For his attack on the previous Raw, in which Repo stole his hat.
Yep.
Elimination here is Tito Santana is tossed out by Yokozuna.
Yep.
Jerry Sags is tossed out by Owen Hart.
Owen Hart also does
a
skinning the
cat. Yes, he did. That's why I said I did a few times, like 3 times. Yeah. Well, he couldn't skin the cat a 4th time, in the match here because he gets tossed out by Yoko.
Oh my God!
25th elimination.
This elimination.
He might have he blew out his knee. The way Owen lands.
If he wasn't injured before, man,
he was
he's
now.
fucking injured.
Because they know. I think Monsoon goes, he just blew out his knee.
They do. It's really visually, dude. It's sickening.
Yeah, it's bad.
It looks so bad.
Yeah.
Fucking Owen.
And he clutches right on it. He's like,
immediately.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Immediately. You can tell he tweaked it at least.
For sure.
That's one of the worst ones ever. And I have seen that elimination before, and every time I see it, it's the same reaction. Oh, fuck.
Hey, at least it wasn't a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
It might have been good for him. Who knows? Elimination 26. Repo Man. Tossed out by Yoko. So that leaves our final 4. Is Yokozuna, Rick Martel, Bob Backlund, and Randy Macho Man Savage.
So at this point, I'm thinking, how interesting would it be for Rick Martel to win this?
I'd be more interested in Backlund winning. And I like Rick Martel. I like the model character.
You got to think, if he's going on to fight Bret, it's got to be a heel.
No, well, not necessarily.
At this time period.
Well, I mean, Hogan Warrior, that's a face versus face.
Yeah.
I think that's really the only example.
I mean, we're talking years back, though, at that point.
Yeah, well, so traditionally, it's a heel versus face.
Yeah. But I was thinking, I kind of would have been interested in that.
I mean, Martel just doesn't have the momentum to even warrant that to me.
Yeah, but isn't that what the Royal Rumble's for?
Yeah, but they don't do that.
I know, but like you would think about it, I was like, oh, okay.
This guy, Martel, as I have said before in this review here, could not beat Tatanka all year in 92. They fought at WrestleMania. He lost. Then they were like, we'll keep you guys apart. Survivor Series. Loses again. They almost wrestled on every single major pay-per-view. There's only 4, and they did 2.
Were you booking it this time?
I was thinking about it.
Because, like, why is Tatanka undefeated?
Listen, as this progresses on, okay, you will fall in love with Tatanka.
I defy that to happen.
I can't believe this. I don't even know why I'm doing this with you, because you hate everyone that I seem to love, and I don't. I mean, we agree on Papa Shango, but like Tatanga's a huge part of my childhood. Major supporter of the Native American tribes.
How about the Syrian tribes with Carlos Colon?
Yes, he's fine.
Okay,
he's good.
Good.
So the final 4, as I mentioned here, there is some kind of storytelling here, because Rick Martel has a history of the Royal Rumble. In 1991, he lasted 52 minutes.
Holy shit.
Which was a record until Flair beat that in 92.
Sure.
So Martel was at one point
that's cool.
a record holder of the Royal Rumble. And obviously, Savage is a former world champion.
Yep.
Yokozuna
is huge.
Is a huge monster of a guy. So they break off into groups, Martel and Backlund working with each other while Savage is battling Yokozuna. The 27th elimination. Unfortunately, Rick Martel
Yep.
tossed out by Bob Backlund after getting punched off the top turnbuckle.
Yes. Weird way to go out, I thought.
I don't know why you're going to the top turnbuckle
In the
Royal Rumble. I mean, it's happened numerous. I know Flair did it.
I know.
I think Savage does it a few
You'd
times.
think, oh, they're smarter than that.
We'll get there on the smarter than that point. Oh, God, that just made me mad just thinking about it. Backlund. So now we're down to the final three. It's just Backlund, Yoko, and Savage.
Yep.
Backlund goes right after Yokozuna. A couple of drop kicks, staggering Yoko.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking Backlund's going to do it.
Well, why wouldn't Savage and Backlund try to get Yoko out?
Common fucking sense. Anyway, so drop kicks. Yokozuna's like, oh no, what's going on? Backlund's like, okay, now I'm going to charge after this sumo guy.
Yep.
Well, that's a mistake because Yokozuna just simply throws him over the top. There's a noticeable boo.
They boo the shit out of
They're
this.
like,
They're
no.
pissed.
We wanted Bob to win.
They're pissed.
That's why I tell you, Bob Backlund got himself over in this match.
He did.
Which would explain why following this, he's inserted into title matches with Shawn Michaels. They're probably watching this match like, oh my God, Bob Backlund's our next big guy. Get him in there with Shawn. We can go the loop, IC champion, Michaels Backlund at WrestleMania. This is huge.
Boy.
Money's going to be everywhere. This is great.
The way the crowd was reacting, you could have believed that. Because they were pretty solidly, even with Macho Man in the ring. I think, pissed.
Yes, they were probably behind Backlund more so than they were Savage.
I agree.
That leaves us down to Yoko and Savage.
Yes.
The face of the 80s mega powers kind of being drifted off into commentary.
Right.
Maybe that one last run, brother.
Right.
So I got to ask, which one would you have preferred? Would you prefer Savage Hart? Or are you looking at, I can get behind Hart Yoko?
Knowing what I know and where Savage was able to go after the WWF, because he does leave.
What? He leaves?
Sorry, Bob.
Oh my God.
I didn't want it to come to this.
I must have missed that episode.
But, yeah.
Oh boy.
But knowing the steam that Savage still had, I think it's a huge miscarriage of justice that he was getting phased out at a time where he probably didn't want to be phased out. Like, he wants to be in those main events. He wants to be on the show. And to think of a Bret Savage match, depending on where they went with it, because you'd have to go somewhere with it, obviously I would have much rather see that.
I'm kind of mixed on it. I think there's two different ways of thinking about it. Now, if you're going for, like, I want an all-time classic match, I think you go Bret Savage.
Exactly.
It could be seen as the official way of passing the torch.
Yes.
Because Hart beating Flair is not really passing the torch. Because one, Flair is a heel, and number two, he was more so a WCW guy.
I was just going to say, yeah, he's not a WWF guy.
So it could have been like a respect thing. I want to just point out right now that I've done a rebooking type of series for my website, and I kind of maybe did Bret Savage at not WrestleMania, but at Royal Rumble. So you could probably, playing in that whole little line there of, I want one last run. Let's go for the title. And I think, you were saying it's usually a heel, but I think
in that case, it would have worked.
Yeah.
It definitely would have worked.
And I don't think you have to, the lead up to it, you don't have to have Savage turn. I think you could have him play heel in the match itself at some point.
Well, because that's Savage naturally.
Yes. And then if, let's say, obviously Bret would retain, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So you can have, a dejected Savage and then be like, all right, you got me.
Yeah.
Respect type of
thing. I agree.
And then Yoko, Bret. There's the interest there potentially here if the ultimate underdog.
Right.
Bret's, 6 foot maybe? I don't even know. Maybe a little taller, a little less. Meanwhile, Yokozuna's this huge man that they haven't seen that type of guy in years.
Right.
And, as being a dominating force. So people
a main event guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, there's no way Bret can beat this guy.
Right.
So, ultimate underdog story. So then back to the match. Yoko and Savage. So Yoko's controlling Savage with strikes in the corner. Savage fights back with clotheslines to stagger Yoko, similar to what Backlund was doing. So Savage decides, hey, I'm going to go to the top rope.
Yeah.
And, he hits a double axe handle. Yoko doesn't go down. Mind you, I don't believe Yoko had gone off his feet at all at this point. This point.
Yeah, he didn't. And you know what else I thought was interesting is Savage is selling here as if he came in an entrant number 1. Like, he just got in the match.
Yeah, and was there anything that happened to him that would warrant this? Like, he didn't get slammed on concrete.
No, and he seems so worn out. That didn't make sense to me. I was like, no. If anything, Yoko should be having a hard time keeping up with Savage because he's so fresh.
Right. I mean, Yoko was number 27, but he is a bigger guy. He's a much bigger
who's
guy.
had people 7-time team him.
Right, and he's tossed out 6 guys to this point.
Right, so he's winded and gassed probably. So for Savage to be still fighting underneath as like this worn out guy, I don't know. It just that part didn't make sense to me.
I agree. Savage goes back to the top rope and hits another axe handle to drop Yoko to a knee. Heenan points out he did not fall down. It's just to a knee. He's not on the mat.
Yep.
So Yoko comes back and Savage runs into a super kick or a savant kick, however you want to say it.
Yep.
Yoko proceeds to plant Savage with a belly-to-belly suplex.
Awesome belly-to-belly, huge impact. The crowd, I feel like, was like, oh.
I love his belly-to-belly suplex.
Yeah,
it's a very good visual.
Yep.
Yoko connects with a leg drop, which is also a good visual. The guy's got huge legs. It's like he buries his, the opponent's face in it.
Yeah.
Yoko continues with running back splashes in the corner. He signals for another one, but misses. So Savage, again, goes to the top rope as Yoko falls down. This is the first time in Yokozuna's WWF career, dating back to his debut and so forth, that he is on the mat. He's fallen down.
Wow.
So this is a pretty big moment.
Yeah, that's big.
And a pretty big moment to give to Savage, I think.
Right.
Savage proceeds to hit an elbow drop. And then goes for a cover in a match in which pinfalls do not count. The commentary guys, Monsoon and Heenan, are like, what are you doing?
And not only that, you got to think, okay, if you're Randy Savage, you just came out at, what was it, 29, 30?
30.
So you just came out number 30, watched everybody else either get eliminated or eliminate somebody.
You're even watching the back, I would have to think.
You're definitely watching in the back. And then you still don't realize that it's not a pinfall finish for this match.
Maybe he just was in a panic, and he's like, I gotta win. There's no way I can pick up this 500-pound guy.
I guess. To me, it made Savage look like an absolute idiot. An idiot.
A moron.
And not only that, Yokozuna throws him up and over out of the ring from a laying position.
Yes.
So not only does Savage look like an idiot, he looks like a small pipsqueak that gets thrown out of the ring like nothing.
Yeah. And I just want to point out, like, Savage at this point is not, I don't know how to word this, in like 89, 90, like, he's jacked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right now, he's like...
He's juicing in 88, 89.
Oh, yeah. And then 92, 93, it's like he's noticeably smaller.
Oh, yeah, well, right.
Yeah.
Naturally with the time period. I mean,
so,
you know like, what they're going through and all that.
The steroids and stuff like that. But for me, like, that kind of, like...
You saw through Savage a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of bummed me out.
You did.
So as you note, Yokozuna throws him out. That means that Savage is the 29th elimination. And your winner for the 1993 Royal Rumble is Yokozuna.
Yeah.
I still don't know why Savage would go for the pin. As we noted, he looks like a freaking fool.
I thought that finish sucked.
Oh, my God.
I thought it sucked.
Yeah.
And obviously I wasn't alone because as soon as Savage is out, droves of people are leaving the arena.
Oh, you noticed that? I didn't look at that.
Droves. Like, before we even get an official Yokozuna before anything, fans are like, not only did Bob get thrown out,
I know.
now Savage, we're fucking out of here.
First Backlund, who we didn't even care about when the match started. But now match, let's beat the traffic.
Yeah. The fat guy won. I hate the WWF. So I thought that was good that the crowd is just done at that point. Yeah. We're out of here.
They might have been burnt out. Who knows?
By then, sure, but I'm sure that didn't help.
I don't even know what to say after the Savage thing. What do you think of the Rumble match itself?
Again, I was on as a whole, aside from the little bit of a lacking talent and the basics of a Rumble match. I'm glad I was, because again, before when we talked about it in episode 1, I totally forgot who even won this match. So it was nice to see that there was some redeeming stuff in the Rumble. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the big guys and how much they did for the match and that kind of stuff. But on the whole, disappointed.
I mean, yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's probably one of the least memorable ones in
Yes.
terms of overall action. Sure, we get the debut of Giant Gonzalez, who is presented very well, and if he had a sliver of wrestling ability, could be an instant star.
Moneymaker.
Yeah, unfortunately, that sliver doesn't exist.
No.
And we'll soon find out just how awful
Yeah.
he is.
Speaking of awful,
Yeah.
Caesar and Cleopatra come back down to the ring.
Jesus.
So they're coming back down to greet the winner and bring him to the back. I just thought, so you got Caesar and Cleopatra. They're coming out to greet Yokozuna and like bring him to the road to WrestleMania. So you got a giant Japanese sumo guy and 2 Greeks. It's just so 93 ridiculous. Like what? Okay, we saw Cleopatra and Caesar earlier. Now they're coming out again. And you can kind of see either they were running out of time on air or Yokozuna was just so blown up and didn't give a shit that they didn't really even do anything.
It's probably the second part.
Well, so they met him on the ramp.
Right.
Nothing happened, and then they all just walked to the back together. This was like, what?
That whole Caesar and Cleopatra thing, that's just bad.
Bad.
93
Corny.
wrestling.
Yeah. It's so corny.
Cartoonish. It's just not. I mean, I can't even form sentences. I'm still bothered with freaking Savage going for a pinfall. He's my favorite guy, and he's so dumb.
And he made to look like a fool here.
Just.
Yeah. I agree. No, I'm right there with you.
So the Rumble match, that's average at best.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flair perfect interaction might be like the best thing.
That's one of the highlights.
I enjoyed Gonzalez's attack, I guess. But
I
it
think
kills
he
the
delivered.
match. It kills
the match, but I think the debut delivered.
Yeah. Ways to make the Rumble better. I would have put Bigelow and Boss Man in.
I agree.
You can take
now,
them
would you
back
give
in.
them the singles match still?
No.
Okay. So what do you put in that place?
It's funny you asked that.
All right.
It's as if you were reading my freaking notes.
I wasn't.
Well, good. I would have put Money Incorporated against the Nasty Boys in a tag title match.
I think that would have worked.
That way you have all 3 title matches.
Right.
And Money Incorporated and Nasty Boys have history.
Right.
So you don't have to... Maybe they're waiting till WrestleMania to do that match.
Sure.
But I think it would have filled out here. And Boss Man's still a credible name for a Rumble. Bigelow's a big guy.
Yeah.
Would add some...
Give him some
star power.
eliminations to show him off pretty good.
Maybe they didn't put Bigelow in there because the focus is on Yoko. I don't know.
That definitely could be. I think that's a good idea though. Definitely. Yeah. Well, because like you said, the tag belts aren't even on the show.
Right.
And it's like, oh.
So if they did that, that would free up 2 other spots.
Yeah.
Because you're replacing 4 guys with 2.
Right.
So why not Kamala?
You could do Kamala.
Right.
How about effing Jim Duggan, who wasn't in the match?
He advertised himself as being, I'm going to give my 100%. I'm going to try real hard. Might not win. But I'm going to try real hard. He tried so hard. He wasn't in the match. Jim, how can you win a match if you're not in it?
He tried so hard, he avoided the Royal Rumble.
Technically, he didn't lose.
Exactly.
So maybe he'll be like, hey, Yoko.
You
didn't toss me out.
That's right.
I'm going to WrestleMania.
Undefeated.
Yeah. Let's make a triple threat.
Yep.
Duggan, Hart, Yoko.
How silly is that? They give him a promo.
I don't understand.
Not even in it. Not even on the card. Nowhere to be found.
Maybe that explains Carlos Colon. I know Carlos was like advertised beforehand. Maybe like Damien Demento was just wandering around backstage like, oh my God, where's Jim?
You grab him.
Demento, come here.
Get him in there.
Come over here.
Well, we know where Duggan was. Probably the same place Iron Sheik was.
Probably. Duggan does get a major angle, though, out of here, coming out of this. So it might explain why he's not in the match, but we'll get there. Longest time in the match belongs to Bob Backlund. He breaks the record.
There you go.
61 minutes and 10 seconds, breaking Flair's record of an hour and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Shortest time, unfortunately, is Papa Shango, 28 seconds. He should have won the whole thing.
Done some voodoo magic. Come on.
Why don't they could have had him come out there and be like, any Coco Beware, gone.
Yeah.
Eliminate yourself.
Done.
And then on Raw, be like, what happened, Coco? I don't know. I think Shango had my mind.
Power over me.
Undefeated guys. How is Papa Shango not undefeated? Curses.
He uses magic.
Magic. And he loses everything.
Yeah.
He made the Ultimate Warrior vomit.
Yeah.
And he can't win. Ugh.
Bleed black.
Yes. Goo coming out of Mean Gene's coat pocket.
Yeah.
Jacket pocket.
Yeah.
And he lasts 20 seconds.
Can't do nothing.
Who tossed him out? Flair? Somebody did.
I don't know. They weren't
Screw
worthy,
that guy.
whoever
No.
it was.
Oh my god, that pissed me off. Anyway, most eliminations, Yokozuna was 7. Taker and DiBiase have 4. I think that surprises me
DiBiase.
that DiBiase having 4.
Oh,
And Mr. Perfect had 3.
okay.
Overall, for the pay-per-view, nothing stand out.
I
Hart
agree.
Ramon is solid, but it's not anything like, oh, I gotta go see this.
Right.
Not anything like that.
Unless you're a Scott Hall fan. Because
Sure.
it's a solid Scott Hall match.
It's a solid, yeah. The Steiner Brothers pay-per-view debut
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Yep.
Jannetty, Michael's disappointment, Boss Man, Bigelow, whatever. It's just,
Snorvest.
yeah, it's just a way to kind of get Bigelow in there.
Yeah.
In terms of like rating it, like grade wise or something, like C plus maybe.
I didn't give it a grade. I mean, knowing what I know now, this is probably a pay-per-view I wouldn't revisit.
No, yeah, nothing monumental
Yeah,
happens.
I wouldn't revisit this. This was the first, out of the 3 shows we've watched for this podcast, this was the first show where it was like a chore. And I hope that doesn't follow a trend.
I don't think it was a chore.
I found probably once Bigelow and stuff hit, I was like, ugh.
Well, yeah, that went way too long.
But
But
even the Rumble, I was just like,
once after the Gonzalez thing, there's like we said, there's that moment there's a few minutes there where it's just like,
Yeah.
But as a show as a whole, I mean, I feel like it flew by pretty quick for me.
yeah.
It wasn't anything like drastically bad, but it felt like it was definitely a setup show for the Mania
Yeah.
instead of being one of the main 4 pay-per-views. here.
Pay-per-views, yeah.
I just noted here that what the Observer rated it. Steiner's and Beverly's got 3 stars. Jannetty Michaels 4. Bam Bam Boss Man got 1. And Ramon Hart got 3.25. And he does not rate the Rumble because, I don't know why. He just didn't like it, I guess. But he hated the finish. That's all he says.
I agree.
Coming out of the Rumble, the main matches appear to be moving forward, and we'll see how it changes here, but it's Bret Yoko for the title, world title. Perfect Luger is probably your second major singles match.
Yeah.
And then for the tag titles, it's Money Incorporated against the Nasty Boys or Steiners. Who knows at this point? Obviously, Taker Gonzalez.
Yep.
And then I noted this one just because, WrestleMania has been known to throw in some filler matches in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or even on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think Bob Backlund and Berserker would have a match now. Or a feud or something.
Well, after we got the whole attacking on the outside and kind of a featured spot, how could you not do that? Even if it is a Raw,
Yeah, why not?
match.
This just seems like proper follow-up.
Right. I agree.
What do I know?
Real quick, though,
Sure.
some of the last stuff we got on air of the Rumble was Bret
Oh,
walking
right.
up to Yoko backstage, getting right in his face as the smaller guy. and
No
the
audio.
champion. No audio. I felt like this felt kind of like Japanese post-match segments because Yoko's in the back kind of getting photos taken of him from like the media or whatever. And it's like kind of an impromptu thing. And if you're familiar with Japanese wrestling, they always do a post-match interview and usually something is set up at that time. So to me, it kind of made sense that, again, you got this quote-unquote Japanese guy.
What are you doing, quotes? He's sumo.
Well,
I don't know what you mean.
Hawaiian sumo.
Oh.
I just thought it fit, and it's, again, one of those little touches where at this time, they're really doing a really good job with Yoko on that stuff. From the geishas and the flowers in the beginning of the match to a post-match media, opportunity. I'm liking all that stuff. Right here, and as we even discussed before the podcast, I'm a Yokozuna fan at this point. I'm glad he's getting this shot. I think it's well deserved. And I think they're angling him ideally. Commentary-wise, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't understand the commentary.
But I think they're really doing a good job with him.
I did note that on my notes. I don't know why I just skipped over it, but I don't recall ever seeing that.
Me neither.
So
I've never seen that.
That
before.
was kind of fresh. And I liked how there was no audio. So you don't
Me
know
too.
what Bret says.
Me too.
And Yokozuna just like no sells. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I did like that little touch.
Yes.
Was it after the highlight video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because the replay, it ended with like just a still shot of Yoko. And then kind of went
to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have anything else for Royal Rumble?
So I'm glad it's behind us. I'm glad to be moving forward from this. Because now we're kind of in a solid basis for 93. Because again, previously, I mean,
There's angles in place now.
Yes, exactly. There's a jump off point.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be moving forward from this. And I have high expectations for Raw moving forward. Because like I said previously, they are really setting up stuff for that show, which I like.
Well, and I think we're going to come across some difficulties with Raw because they obviously still have syndicated shows like Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, and they have to tape those for like 4 weeks at a time. So there's stuff that's already in syndication ready to go, and then they have a live show. So there's a way to maneuver around that. So when we get into the Raws in the following weeks, I'll touch upon what happens there and see how it kind of maybe causes headaches.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I agree. I mean, it should be an entertaining and interesting time as we get into WrestleMania 9. There's a few twists and turns. And I think the next maybe 2 or 3 weeks of Raw, I think there's a pretty big moment where it's just like everything that they were planning out the window.
Oh, boy.
And it's been a while since I've came across that and watched it.
Should that scare me, Bob? Oh, no.
I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
So,
right.
But so the next show that we got here, this is almost 2 hours, but this is the Rumble.
We're doing good. Come on.
We'll go.
We're doing good.
The next show is Monday Night Raw. It's the 25th.
Yep.
And that will
Big matches.
Yeah, they have already announced them. So it'd be Macho Man and Repo, with Macho Man want to get revenge for Repo stealing his hat. Yep. And then the other advertised match is Perfect and Flair in a career versus career match. So I would say this is the 3rd episode of Raw.
Yeah.
Easily the most
stacked.
Anticipated.
Oh,
one.
it's stacked. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be interesting, and we'll come back with our thoughts on that and go forward from there. Moving forward, though, I think we're going to do 1 Raw per episode instead of doing 2.
Break it up a little bit.
Yeah. Give you guys more content, more episodes instead of doing all of ours in like 2 hours. Pay-per-views will probably be longer ones just because we'll go off on tangents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it sets up for a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the Raws are 45 minutes, so
right.
If we go 2 hours on a 45-minute show,
there's a problem.
Yeah. We were averaging like an hour for the separate ones, so. You got anything else, Mr. Austin?
That's it, brother.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the 2nd episode of IcoPod. We will be back with Raw from January 25th, 1993.
Bob?
Yes.
It's been a pleasure thus far. IcoPod, I got high hopes.
I'm looking forward to this journey. And I should maybe note that we have a Facebook page.
We do.
So anybody listening to this, if you go on Facebook, you type in IcoPod. There's a space before each letter, so it's I space IcoPod.
Just because otherwise it had to be lowercase, and I thought that looked stupid, so I didn't want to do it.
Well, it's still lowercase now.
Well, no, it's capital letters. There just has spaces in them.
I think they're still lowercase.
Whatever, Bob.
Anyway, you can go on there. You can like us on there. We'll at some point here figure out how to get this on iTunes so that way you can be mobile with it.
Yes.
So just be patient with us on that. But yeah, this has been fun so far. So we'll be back soon enough with the January 25th episode of Raw. Thank you for listening to IcoPod.
You gotta hear it.